Hello everybody and welcome to West Country Rugby. Well, today we've crossed the Severn Bridge and we've come into Wales. We're at Newport, a town of fiery and ardent rugby supporters and of course men of steel. They all work in the foundry not too far away from where I'm talking. Well, the guests this afternoon are Bristol. They're coming across here looking for a double because if you recall when Bristol and Newport met at the Memorial Ground last September, the John Player Cup champions came out by 30 points to 22. Well, this afternoon, Newport slightly weakened. 4 of their key players, well, they're wearing the fiery dragon on their chest this afternoon in France, playing for the Welsh B. And Bristol, well, I suppose the main talking point must be the fitness of Mike Rafter. He's been out for 8 weeks, and this is his first club appearance. Well, the commentator this afternoon is, of course, Derek Robinson. And as we go to him now, Derek, I suggest that perhaps Bristol must be fairly confident that they're going to make it 2 on a row against Newport.
Newport, in fact, are without 5 B-class players, 4 of them in France and 1 of them injured today. The bulk of these losses affect them in the pack, where Hassan Ali comes in at hooker. And another not very Welsh name there is John Widdicombe at lock. He travels up from Torquay for these games, and a very promising player indeed. At fly-half, Andy Phillips has scored a hatful of points already this season, and Chris Williams at centre is JPR's brother, say no more. Overall, it's a new-look team. Only 5 of these players turned out for Newport last season. The name that all Bristol supporters are delighted to see here is Mike Rafter, the skipper, back at flanker after 2 months out with a hamstring injury. The pack looks very strong, a very experienced front row, big men in Pumphrey, Stiff and Hesford. But this season Bristol have lacked the thrust that won them the club championship, and they have yet to win in Wales. The referee this afternoon, John Groves of Tonnerifile. And Bristol to kick off. And conditions this afternoon, as you can see, pretty well perfect. Depending on where the ball's emerging from, some players are going to have the sun in their eyes, but underfoot it's absolutely immaculate. Taken there by Tony Coombs for Newport, and straight into touch. No sign of any, well, great scoring opportunity, I was about to say, but here we have a penalty kick to Bristol within range on a day like this when there's virtually no breeze. And it's Simon Hogg, Bristol centre, to take this shot. Distance, I suppose, of about 35 metres, including the angle. And normally you would reckon that this was a kind of 2 in 3 chance of getting it over the posts. And 3 points at this stage in the game, of course, psychologically is worth double, because it means that the other team then have to score twice in order to get on even terms. Over the posts, and that puts Bristol ahead by 3 points to 0, 5 minutes into the match. And that seemed a very confident strike of the ball by Simon Hogg. Nick Devenold restarting for Newport. 3 points down after 5 minutes. And bobbles around a little bit on the fingertips. Won by Newport, finally. Out to Phillips, chips through into the box, and that's going to run into touch nicely for them. A good attacking position earned straight from the restart. And that's Kevin Bagheera, the Bristol hooker, to throw in. Tapped down, and somebody was leaning too hard. It's the fullback, Phil Parker. Andy Phillips at standoff takes a lot of the kicks, but certain parts of the field, Phil Parker is the man they prefer. So here he goes. That's the 22-metre line, you can see. And he's missed it. Phil Q touches down. So Newport have missed an opportunity to pull back 3 points. Bristol restart then, leading 3 points to 0. And fine breakaway there by Nigel Pumphrey, carried on by Peter Stiff. 2 boiler men in action for Bristol, working the ball out now. To Cox, to Hogg. Q comes up to join in the attack, working his way back to the opposite side of the field. Harding once more on the break. Here's now Gareth Williams going down the left wing, breaks 1 man 2, and he's over for a fine try. Gareth Williams beating 2 men to cover the crucial last 15 metres. for a try that really should be credited to the entire Bristol team, because the possession was well won by the forwards, and change of direction. Here we can see how it came off, and there's Harding, and that fine burst of speed sets off Gareth Williams. Now watch him beat the tackle, checks inside the other man, a nice swerve. In it goes, quickly healed. Then held and worked over, channeled to make life easy for Harding. And Harding throws out a long pass, now to Q up in attack. Q breaks brass, and look at that pace down the right-hand side. Here's the nice little chip ahead. Hustling play by Bristol, checked just 2-3 metres short. Still time if they get quick possession, but the ball comes out on the Newport side. And at this rate, somebody is going to get over in that corner. Here we see it again. Harding's long pass out and Q up in attack were the keys that unlocked this Newport defence. And in particular, that acceleration of Q's and how well he judged that kick ahead. And if the bounce had been perhaps a little more cooperative, he could have been over for a try. As it is, Bristol still on the attack, and look at this pounding surge, carries him over the line, and that's a fine try for Peter Stiff. Scored by a forward, but you could say that it was set up by 2 3-quarter attacks in the last 5-10 minutes, and Bristol go further into the lead. Second try for Bristol after 26 minutes of the first half, and a good conversion chance here for Simon Hogg, and it's there. So that's 13 points to 0. Unlucky 13 for Newport, with 2 tries and a penalty goal. The longer this game goes on, it seems, the more handling practice Bristol are getting, the less Newport, and Newport will want to do something about that in a hurry. Breakaway there, using the back row. Fine running here, and good chance here for Newport if they can keep up this momentum. As Collins, Rendell and Powell go away, second phase possession. What can they do here? Long looped pass, opportunity for Justin Robinson, passed inside, and that's a good try. Unless anybody gets there first, and nobody is going to, by Chris Williams, JPR's brother. Useful player, but it was the initial surge by the back row that set it up, and here we see it. Fine interpassing, Wayne Randall, Richie Collins, Roger Powell in the back row. That was Richie Collins finally. He's brought down 3 or 4 metres out. And then the rest of you can see that wasp-coloured jerseys are rising en masse. A good, fast, hard, low pass out. And finally, the Andy Phillips pass outside reaches Justin Robinson, the skipper. And he, on his right shoulder, has Chris Williams up beside him. And there was nothing Bristol could do that in the end. Conversion kick. And it's good.
Goal by Chris Williams, conversion by Phil Parker.
And that makes the score 13 points to 6, and a very different picture indeed as Bristol restart into the hands of Andy Phillips. Doesn't find touch. Harding, a long pass infield to Phil Q. Q hoists one up into the stratosphere for his team to chase. And Phil Parker plays soccer with it, but succeeds only in giving it to the Bristol pack. And that's the Newport 22 now. And there's a Newport jersey lying where every Bristol player can see it, certainly. Certainly the New Zealanders would have had something to say about that, but as it is, it's a scrummage, Bristol feed. And Mr. Groves has a word with the front rows, checking their binding. Ball is neatly back now, and that's finally a slightly anticipated tackle perhaps, but what the end result is that Bristol are going backwards, and the referee's decision is that they'll restart with a scrummage, but Bristol certainly didn't make best use of their possession there. Newport to feed. Midway between the halfway and their 22. Good ball back, picked up by the back row. Out now to their scrum half, Tony Coombs. Fine follow-up by Richie Collins, checked at last, and Mike Rafter is the man there, but it's knocked on, and they'll scrummage it with Bristol to put in, and play flowing from end to end now in a very entertaining fashion. As Newport come back, they were 13 points down, but that fine try has given them spirit. Back to Phil Q, and Q will put it into touch. As we have about 10 minutes left in this half. And the line out just 8 metres inside the Bristol half. Down to Harding finally. Harding out to Cox, transfers it straight to Hogg. Hogg gives it to Parker. That didn't accomplish anything for Bristol. Parker equally throws it away, and it comes back to Harding. Harding covering well, a very experienced player now, Harding. Been in the game for a long time and knows precisely where to go. There's Hassan Ali, a homegrown Newport player despite his name. And the referee is not at all happy about what went on in that ruck, and you can tell by the length of blast of the whistle. A Bristol player over the top, killing possession, and Newport fullback Phil Parker hanging, and it just drops over. So that persistent pressure from Newport has paid off, and the score, with perhaps 5 minutes left in the match, including injury time, is 13-9 in Bristol's favour. Newport to throw in the line out, and it's bound down well. Newport winning good possession out to Phillips, and here's their flanker coming in hard. Powell cutting back across the grain of the Bristol defence. Newport Powling, second phase possession again, out to Phillips. Phillips still getting it, losing it there. But Bristol were offside, and this should be a gift 3 points for Newport, and that should bring them within a single point of the Bristol tally as we're into injury time at the end of the first half. Phil Parker is up for the kind of kick that he should be able to convert in his sleep. But there's Mike Rafter with a lot on his mind, a lot to think about. He's been watching Bristol play for the last couple of months while he's been sidelined with injury, and he must have had plenty of opportunity to analyse their faults. They've had some fairly poor performances. Here's Parker. Parker's over, converted, and it was in fact the last kick of the first half. So at half-time, Bristol leading, but only just by 13 points to 12. But Newport, as we've seen, fighting back. A fascinating second half to come as the sun sets over the Welsh mountains. We'll be back after the break.
From the mists of time, discover the smooth, warm taste of Merlin Welsh cream liqueur. It's magic.
The smallest piece of gold from Beaver Brooks has magical powers. It can tame a tiger and make him eat out of your hand. It can even make an iceberg melt. If you love someone, turn to gold. Gold from Beaver Brooks.
ESP is when you feel it before it happens. Now, ESP is extra sensory perfume spray from Yardley. You sensed it, and you knew the perfume would be you. ESP, extra sensory perfume by Yardley.
Beginning of the second half with Bristol leading by the narrowest possible margin, 13 points to 12, and it has certainly been Newport's game in the second quarter, although Bristol seemed very much to be on top in the first. And Bristol again offending, and that will do them no good whatsoever, as we see fists begin to fly and mouths begin to open, and that will be a penalty kick to Newport in kicking range within 30 seconds of the second half. And I was told beforehand that this referee, John Groves, his Tony Refoil, is well respected over here in Bath, in Wales. He stands no nonsense, and Bristol are on a losing wicket, to change the sporting metaphors, if they try to get into a battle with him. Here he comes up, around the corner style, connected well, and that could only have been a couple of feet wide, as Bristol run the ball out from defence. And it would be fascinating to know what Mike Rafter said to his team at half-time, because there are certainly many things that he has to put right. Bristol showing the tremendous potentiality, particularly in the first try that Gareth Williams ran in, but doing many things wrongly too, and far too loose in a lot of their play. As Newport now showing tremendous concerted, cohesive pressure, give their three-quarters plenty of opportunity to run, and Nibs up very quickly there to snuff out that attack. Man and ball together, and Bristol strive now to turn it into counter-attack, but it's no good. Chris Williams gets the ball into touch, a little bit too much huff behind that kick, so there'll be no gaining ground. But Bristol now need to take a grip of this game and tighten up their performance considerably. Harding, back now to Cox. Cox puts that out of play. And that Bristol lead of a single point is very fragile indeed. They've played 152 times so far. Newport have won 98. Bristol only 45. And the way things are going, I think any bookie's bets would be in favour of Newport as they come away again. The missed man. Up comes Parker, adding himself to the attack. Finally cannot get the ball to Justin Robinson, but the way they are stringing those passes together in the backs is most impressive. Harding feeds. Bristol scrummage has been solid enough today, but that was released too quickly, and Harding's in trouble. The back row didn't get their signals together with the scrum half, and he found himself overwhelmed, absolutely submerged, and there in Newport getting possession. And in fact, Bristol had to infringe to try and stop it, and this is in kicking range, so Bristol's lead could disappear within the next minute. They simply must not handle the ball on the ground, not lie over the ball, not get themselves into offside positions. Parker again. He's had plenty of kicking practice this afternoon, and he's shown that he's got a very powerful boot indeed, and this distance of, I would say, 45 to 50 metres is well within his range. 7 minutes into the second half. Parker with another chance to eliminate Bristol's lead, topped it slightly, and Alan Ramsey, the Bristol touch judge, was signalling no well early in advance there, as Q comes away and manages to gain a sizable chunk of ground for Bristol. So Bristol's been let off the hook. For all they knew about it, they could have been 5 points down in the last couple of minutes. And Mike Rafter must be grateful for that, and now try and start to build anew and build up front. Hassan Ali throws in, taken there by Coombs. Running around the tail of the line out, Newport come away. Good play there by Roger Powell. Coombs again, well picked up there by Justin Robinson. Bristol send in their forces in great number to try and check Newport, but it looks as if Newport have got the possession once more, and they have the put in at the scrum. Scrummage then, midway between the halfway and the 22, and we are now 8 or 9 minutes into the second half, and Bristol have shown no sign of being able to break out from defence. That time, the Newport feed was crooked, and it will be a free kick. Now, will Bristol run this? It looks as if, no, Simon Hogg, it's too far out. Simon Hogg will put it into touch. He hasn't made it. He seemed to topple over slightly backwards as he made connection, and that's a gift to Newport to put it back on the halfway line. And you have to ask yourself at this stage in the game, here we are 10 minutes into the second half, this is the England Club County Champions, and what has happened since last season? Not straight at the line out. Beaten by South Wales Police last Saturday, and it will also be interesting to see as we go into the final quarter whether Mike Rafter can still draft and his way around the field in his well-known fashion. He's been out of top-class rugby for quite a while. There's a strike against the head, and Bristol now working the ball out to Nibs. Williams on the left wing, hoist to Gary Owen. Is it a little too deep? No, it's not. He smothers his man, Nibs in hard. Bristol need to be there in number, and that looks like Pomfrey going in. Just short of the line. Harding flips it back, misses his opposite number. Hogg cuts across field, switches passes with Q. Q chipping there for Morley to chase into the corner, but it looks as if it's just going to trickle into touch. But it's still very useful possession. And a useful strike against the head there by Kevin Bagheera as we see it. How that strike catches the opposition out of position. Swift passing out to Williams. Williams kick ahead. Hanging, and there's Nibs going in hard. Smothers his man. And Bristol are there in quantity. And surge for the line. Pomfrey might even have made it, he thought. Harding's pass astray. And we're back with the regular action again, with the line out within plunging distance, you might say, of the Newport line. Not in straight, so we'll have the scrummage. Now, in the old days, you would have said Bristol would have gone for a pushover try, but the Bristol pack doesn't seem to be the force that it once was. And anybody who remembers the HTV coverage of the Bath-Bristol game will remember 5 consecutive 5-metre penalties given to Bristol, from which they failed to score. So, scrummage held. Now they are going for the pushover, in fact. Will they make it? Just a couple of feet out there. Bob Hesford goes through, and it's a score. Hesford scores, and in fact it was a good concerted effort by the Bristol pack. I take back everything I said about them. You can see it again. They just stayed low, and a man of Hesford's power and experience in the back there now just keeps it going, chooses his moment, and nobody is going to stop him. That's the Newport front row of Rawlins, Hassan Ali and Pete Smith going down. Bristol winning it well, holding it tight now. Spinning, good support there, and fine effort by the Bristol pack. You see them locked together, and again, working the ball loose. Out to Nibs. Nibs chipping through, didn't come off. Straight into touch. Bristol on the attack. Just 20 metres out from the Newport line. Harding winds up, throws a long pass, which is taken by Q on the pass. Morley given a chance to run here. Can he use his power and strength? Throws the pass inside, and finally taken by Chris Williams, who's hurled into touch himself, and that was a good opportunity. The long pass by Harding, bouncing into Q, coming up in attack. Morley there, stretching his legs, and you can see now that it was just a question of inches that stopped him. The scrum corkscrewing a little bit there, the ball out on the Newport side, Harding through to try and rob his opposite number, but once more it's in touch. And this time, the line out will go just outside the Newport 22. As we come to the end of the third quarter of this match, with Bristol in the lead by 17-12, yet we've shown that that sort of lead is not unassailable, as Pomfrey gets brought down. Finally, Morley gets a chance to do his ice skating act on his own. Gets so far. And that's a kick by Cox, with just a little too long. Devenold manages to gain ground. Hogg gets possession and tries to clear his line, but there was a knock-on, and just as Bristol seemed to be tightening the screw, Newport break through, and Cox perhaps showing a little of his immaturity there, his lack of experience. That was the first loss of the ball that counted, when Pomfrey couldn't get possession. Morley seemed as if there might be a chance that he could break through. It didn't work out. Here it comes. Cox is charged out. Kick charged down by Devenold. And that was, in effect, a crucial tackle by Nibbs. So as we come to the end of the third quarter, Bristol showing some signs of tightening up their act, but still on the defensive. The pack beginning to perform better as a cohesive unit, but at this moment, Newport wins striking range. Another shortened line out, and there's Hesford going off the tail, working it out now to Pelledri. Good interaction there by the forwards. Checking it again. Hesford standing off once more, taking 2-3 players to stop him. But the ball evidently coming slightly forward, because it'll be Newport to put in at the scrum. 17 points to 12, Bristol lead as we go into the final quarter of the match. But bear in mind that at the end of the first quarter or thereabouts, they were leading by 13 points, and they lost pretty well all of that in the rest of the first half. Plenty of steam coming off the top of that scrummage, which shows there's a lot of hard work being done. And that's Coombs hoisting one. That's a difficult catch as Morley has to go in underneath it. Not knocked forward, says the referee. Came off a chest. And that is not offside either. So here comes Richie Collins bursting away. Backed up now there by John Widdicombe on the Bristol 22. Good possession for Newport. Newport out now to Phillips. Williams cutting back inside. Finally brought down, still on the Bristol 22. And this time it will be Bristol to get the put in at the scrum. And here we see Bristol suffering as Newport snapped up that possession, and Richie Collins bursting away, giving it to John Widdicombe, the Englishman who comes up from Devon to play for this Welsh side, and feeding the ball back superbly. Coombs now out to Phillips and giving it to Chris Williams, cutting back. And that was where the attack finally broke down. When Newport win the ball, scrum half stands off. Number 8, Wayne Rendell, waiting to play the scrum half role. And a breakaway which takes Bristol completely by surprise by Roger Powell. What a good game that Newport back row has had today. And that looked as if players from both sides, you might say, were over the ball, and the referee will have to do a judgment of Solomon there. And you can see there how taken by surprise the Bristol pack were. And if only that ball could have come out a little more slickly on the Newport side, who knows what might have emerged in no scoring way. The midfield, Newport to feed as we come up towards the last 10 minutes or so, a little more with injury time of this match. And a good try could turn it for Newport. 17 points to 12, Bristol lead. And I shouldn't imagine that Mike Rafter is too confident with that. He'd like to see some more points on the board. Newport hold it in the back row, and the steam comes up in a great cloud as they swing it down. And look at that interception. That was a gift, and Alan Morley is going to sleep happily tonight, because that, I think, is the piece of action that is going to button up this match. Here it comes, as the ball held for a long time, so Newport had plenty of time to work out what they were doing, and Morley spotted the ball, and there he said, "Thank you very much indeed," stretched his legs and zeroed in on the middle of the posts. 6 points worth. That is almost certain to put the Bristol score up to 23-12. Here's the conversion kick about to come. And we are heading, in a way, for perhaps the total scoring tally. There it goes over. Bill Q making it 23 points to 12. When Newport came to the Memorial Ground, Bristol beat them by 30 points to 22. Total of 52 points. Well, we're heading in that direction now, because there is still, what, 12 minutes to go in this match. And Bristol like to think, traditionally, they always have thought that it was in the closing minutes of the game that they racked up a hatful of points. However, Newport aren't beaten yet, even if they do run into the referee from time to time, and they come away again from that scrum. John Rawlins, the prop, finally changing direction, and Ralph Nibbs, second time, has a second bite at the cherry, gives the ball in the end to Gareth Williams, and Williams puts it into touch. But psychologically, an interception such as the one just made by Alan Morley is completely devastating to the team that has given away the points. They've worked so hard, and then just one pass is 6 points to the opposition. A lot of young new players in the Newport side. 2/3 of them hadn't played for the club first team last year, so they've done very well this afternoon and shown themselves to be a very attractive team. Bristol on the burst then from that line-out carry play, almost to the halfway line. Ball could emerge either side, judging by that piece of chaos, and finally Newport do get it. Lovely chip ahead there by Andy Phillips, and Alan Morley plays soccer in a way that must have made a few of his players' hair stand on end, but it comes off, and Bristol still holding possession just outside their 22. Referee says enough of that, we'll have a scrummage. Scrum, held in the back row, away comes Coombs, slips it to Wayne Rendell, is number 8, and handling off the ground, the kind of offence that we have seen from Bristol throughout this match. Here we can see the action being set up, Wayne Rendell bursting away, and when Bristol finally check him, the clear the ball is not at all to the referee's satisfaction, and the kick is dead centre and just outside the 22. So up comes Parker with 6 minutes left in the match, and he's pulled back 3 points for his team to make the score 23-15 in Bristol's favour.
Penalty by Phil Parker.
Newport healing just outside their own half, long passing which has been a hallmark, and fine slipping of the ball there as it comes out to Justin Robinson, the skipper on the left wing, and that took a try-saving tackle by Richard Harding, who had to come across 70 yards, I would think, and excellent Newport passing, and that's the half break which sets them away. And you can see him signalling to bring up his winger, who takes the ball on the burst. And there is Harding, and his tackle was comprehensive. Took down the 22-metre flag as well. And fine piece of attack and defence. Coombs standing off to take the pass back from his front row. But the Bristol back row had seen it. Newport, however, getting it, and there's Robinson playing scrum half. Out to Phillips, who slips, but makes use of it. Back to Robinson again, cutting down the blind side. Plenty of backup from Newport, giving support. They haven't given up this match yet. Nothing is impossible. Coombs out to Phillips once more. And Nibbs, for a second time, doesn't manage to check the tackle, and it's Chris Wood out on the right wing, feeding it back inside to Chris Williams. Further support there from Newport. Endless stamina apparently in this Newport side, a young team, but finally it comes to an end, only feet short of the Bristol line. And the invention in the part of this Newport side is getting tremendous admiration from the crowd. Newport win it, running it down the three-quarter line, out to Chris Williams, out to Chris Woods. Woods finally taken by Gareth Williams, and Bristol bottled up that attack pretty effectively as the forwards arrive in quantity, and Harding is given the ball as it's out now for the drop at goal, and it's there. And that, I think, is Simon Hogg.
Drop goal by Simon Hogg.
For a very good drop at goal to make it 26 points to 15. Here you can see how much time he was given by that fine possession from his pack to get his balance right and gauge the distance and the angle. And that really, I think, must button it up. 26 points to 15, Bristol now lead. And the kick was a fine kick by Hogg, but a lot of credit must go to the pack for giving him such an excellent opportunity. The restart. Bristol managed to get it. That one will go into touch. Hugh shoves it away, and that is the final kick of the match. And the score finally, Bristol 26 points, Newport 15. An entertaining match with plenty of scoring on both sides of the halfway line. And